Which exam did you have exactly?
Monotheism.
Monotheism?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. So 6 done and 5 to go, I believe.
No, 7 to go.
7 to go. Wow, that's a lot.
Wait, let me see.
What?
Let me check.
Okay.
No, they are 6. But
6
with
to
the
go.
Quran.
Yes. But the Quran is oral.
Yeah.
That's even better. Page 126, please. The temperate forests. Good morning, Saif. Good morning, Ali. How was your exam?
Good, teacher. It's good.
Okay, great. Mishal Abdukhi, did you do your quiz? Who's Sean's Bong? Saif.
It's guy in the YouTube.
Saudi?
Yes,
And what does he do?
playing games.
Games, yes, I can see.
Teacher, he has 4 million subscribers.
Oh my god. Then I think I'm living in the Stone Age. I'll have a look on him later. Sean Bong. I shall remember that name. So we will continue about speaking about the biomes and the temperature and also about the ecosystems. Do you remember where we stopped? Page 126. So simply in this lesson we have started to speak about the biomes and the ecosystem, and we said that any biome is a place where animals and plants adapt to live, and we have a lot of biomes on our planet regarding to the temperature of each place and also the geographical feature of that place. Like we have the polar area, all of it is about ice sheets. There is no farming, no crops, no plants, not anything, but some specific animals like the polar bear, they can live in it. We have, of course, the desert, and we have a lot of desert, including the Sahara Desert in Africa and Gobi Desert in Asia, the most two big deserts in our planet. Sahara Desert in Africa and the Gobi Desert in Asia, to the west of China. We spoke also about the tundra, and we said the tundra lies directly beneath the polar region, and the temperature varies from minus 40 degrees Celsius in the winter until 18 degrees in the summer. There are only some specific animals that live there, and because most of the year is ice, so it's also covered in ice, and some ice sheets in very specific places on the mountains, but some small animals and plants can live there. About the taiga, directly beneath it, there is ice also and rain most of the year, but the planted there, especially the trees, adapted to these circumstances by having a cone shape and also very thin leaves, so that the ice will not stay on the leaf and it can contain and absorb humidity from the air. And today we'll start and continue to speak about the temperate forests. Temperate forests. What are the difference between the temperate forests and the tropical forests and also the rainforests? So we have some good kinds of forests in our planet. So what do you know about them? Have you heard before temperate? Still with me, grade 8, or searching about Abu Falah? Hello.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so once again we have the temperate forests and we have the tropical forests. So do you know anything about either of them? I guess no. So once again, the temperate forest or the temperate forest or forests.
Temperate forests. Temperate areas have cold winters and warm summers. Because of the cooler climate, only about 10 to 20 species of trees grow in this type of forest. They grow slowly and may live from 500 to 1,000 years. The other plants in temperate areas are mostly mosses and ferns. Tropical rainforests.
So the temperate forests, simply temperature in that place varies from winter to summer. In the winter they have very cold winter, and in the summer very warm summer, and that's because of the cooler climate. Only about 10 to 20 species of trees can grow in that place. They grow also slowly and may live for 500 or 1,000 years. The other plants in temperate areas are mostly mosses and ferns. So the temperature in that place varies from winter to summer to be very cold and very warm. Because of this, we have some specific types of plants that can grow there, from 10 to 20 species of trees. And those trees can last for up to 1,000 years. Highlight this or underline it. From 10 to 20 species, and each tree can live from 500 to 1,000. On the other hand, we have the tropical
rainforests. In the hot, humid rainforest conditions, bacteria and other microorganisms can breed very quickly. This allows plant matter on the forest floor to decompose very quickly. Other plants grow rapidly and take up the nutrients from decomposed plant matter. As a result, rainforests have poor soil quality. The heavy rainfall also leaches the nutrients out of the soil, leaving it infertile and acidic.
So, simply to speak about the tropical rainforests. On the other hand, the tropical rainforests, it has a lot of rain most of the year because it goes across the equator and there is rain most of the year. But on the other hand, it has a very, very poor infertile land. Why does it have poor infertile land? Because bacteria and other microorganisms can breed very quickly. Consequently, they eat the nutrition from the land, making it infertile. Once again, the tropical rainforests, they have rain most of the year, yet on the other hand, very, very, very poor fertile land. And that's why, or that's because the bacteria and microorganism breed means they hatch or they grow in number very quickly, so they feed on that land or the nutrition from the land. And in the chart here we have a climate graph of the Benjamism and equatorial rainforest area in Sri Lanka. So as you can see, the temperature can reach up to 35 degrees Celsius in summer, and in some rare cases can go until -8 degrees in winter. Still with me?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. I really can use AdBlock now.
Shrouded in a blanket of clouds, they awaken. Their canopies of green glitter in the sun. Their wildlife start to slither, chirp, and growl. And one of the planet's richest ecosystems comes to life. Rainforests are the oldest living ecosystems on the planet. Some can trace their origins to over 70 million years ago, back to a time when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. While the giant reptiles have disappeared, rainforests continue to thrive, growing on every continent except Antarctica. Two types of rainforests are scattered across the globe: temperate and tropical. Temperate rainforests are mainly found in the mid-latitudes, often near cooler, coastal, mountainous regions. Tropical rainforests are primarily located in warmer climates, between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. As their names imply, temperate and tropical rainforests are the wettest forests on Earth, receiving up to about 33 feet of rain per year. This precipitation plays a critical role in creating an exceptionally lush and biologically diverse habitat. While rainforests only make up about 6% of the Earth's surface area, they are home to over half of the world's plant and animal species. This biodiversity creates benefits that extend far beyond the rainforest boundaries. Rainforest plants produce an assortment of food items, in addition to ingredients useful in everyday products and medicines. In fact, an estimated 70% of the plants used in cancer treatments are only found in rainforests. On an even larger scale, rainforests help to stabilize the planet's climate. Its lush green vegetation regulate global temperatures by absorbing massive amounts of radiation from the sun. They also absorb vast amounts of carbon dioxide and convert them into oxygen, about 40 Over the past few centuries,
Hello, grade 8. And I think I had a problem in my internet connection. I'm sorry for that. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
global temperatures by absorbing massive amounts of radiation from the sun. They also absorb vast amounts of carbon dioxide and convert them into oxygen, about 40% of the planet's breathable air. Over the past few centuries, rainforests have disappeared at an alarming rate. Factors such as economic inequalities, human development, and demand for natural resources have fueled the deforestation of these rich ecosystems. At the current rate, rainforests, which have survived for over 70 million years, may completely disappear within the next century. But through educational campaigns, sustainable logging practices, and cooperation with local communities, deforestation may begin to slow down, helping preserve rainforests for many generations to come.
And that's actually a problem that they face. So once again, hello Muhammad, welcome back. So once again, we have two types of rainforests, the temperate one and the tropical one. The temperate, they like what? Khalid Bandar Malki, you left your mic open and you are watching YouTube or something like that. So we have two types of the rainforests, the temperate one. They are in the north beneath the tundra, and they have only from 10 to 20 species of trees, and those trees can live up from 500 until 1,000 years. On the other hand, we have the rainforests, which are the most forested on our planet, and they have lived approximately for 70 million years, and yet their land is infertile. But they have many types of animals and plants living in them. Consequently, they help our planet to breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. What about the grasslands?
Grasslands. Grasslands are flat, open areas that are mostly covered in grasses. They are mostly found between the temperate forests at high latitudes and between deserts below the tropics. These areas receive too little rainfall to support trees and larger plants. They only receive between 500 and 900 millimeters of rainfall each year. Grasslands are found on every continent except Antarctica, and in a range of climate zones. They are known as prairies in North America, pampas in South America, veldt in South Africa, Steppes in Central Europe and Asia. Savanna in Australia.
So
Non-existent in Saudi Arabia.
no, because Saudi Arabia, most of it is desert. The first type of palms we have studied, and also like Rab al Khali desert. So we have actually a type of biome here in Saudi Arabia. But the most of grassland area, or the most known one, is the savanna in Australia. And actually, there are some types of savanna also in Africa beneath the tropical forests. So grassland is simply like an open area, but it has most of it is grass. And of course, we have animals like cheetah, like kangaroo, and other animals living in that place. And they have little amount of water. That's why they cannot support the life of very huge or very big plants like trees. And you need to memorize the places where the grasslands are. Furry in North America, Belt in South America, Savanna in Australia, Pampas in South America, and the steppes in Central Europe and Asia.
The temperature in grassland biomes depends on the latitude. It can range between -20 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius each year. Some of the grasses that are found in these biomes include clover, salvia, oats, wheat and barley. Animals include buck, bison, lion, giraffe, rhinoceros, elephant and other mammals. The height of the grass depends on the amount of rainfall the region receives. In some places, the grass may grow more than 2 meters high, with roots extending more than 1.5 meters into the soil. In other places, short grasses may only grow 20 to 25 centimeters high, with roots extending about 1 meter below the surface.
So once again, the temperature in this place varies from -20 degrees Celsius until 30 degrees Celsius. Highlight that. And we have some animals like the bark python, lion, giraffe, rhinoceros, and the elephant, and some other mammals, because of course they feed on that grass. And we have zebra also. And of course, the height of the height of the grass depends on the rain. Highlight this line. The height of the grass depends on the amount of rain. Here is the shape of the grass. And as you can see, mostly it's an open area. There are no mountains, nothing but grass. Some plants like great horses.
Grass. If there's one plant that has come to dominate our world, it's this. Occupying every biome on Earth except the ice sheets, grasses have colonized every patch of soil, from tropical to temperate forests, savanna to steppe, scrubland to desert. Humans have taken these grasses and shaped them over generations into crops that feed the world today. Their homelands are the seeds of grass we call meadow, prairie, pampas, veld, and steppe.
These are the 5 biomes of grasslands that exist on our planet: meadow, prairie, pampas, veldt, and steppe.
The world's grasslands.
Right.
Grasslands are one of only 2 biomes on our planet to be completely dominated by a single class of plant. But what is grass? A simple definition is a non-woody plant containing a hollow stem for strength, bladed leaves for photosynthesis, and a flowering bundled seed head for reproduction. This simple but highly successful formula has evolved since the end of the Cretaceous period, about 66 million years ago, to form over 12,000 species today, and grass's ability to colonize poor soils, survive fire, and turf out competing plants has allowed them to spread to almost every corner of Earth. The prairies and steppes are the biomes where this class of plant is fully dominant. This is in comparison to the savannas of the tropics, so often confused with grasslands, where we find a mix of grasses, shrubs, and trees. Grassland areas occur in relatively temperate, drier climates, either in the mid-latitudes or in high-altitude regions such as the Himalayas and Andes, where rainfall is insufficient for tree growth, or where historical conditions such as pervasive fire or large animal grazing have prevented trees from gaining a foothold. There is no one common climate type that matches global grassland distribution, with continental and cool semi-arid zones along with humid and highland subtropical zones and even oceanic areas having grasslands. This indicates that the coupling between grassland and climate is not as strong as in the other biomes so far looked at, with major common groups B, C, and D being represented here. If we consult our Holdridge life zones chart, we can find the grasslands in the center as steppe, where conditions are neither particularly cold or hot, but where overall rainfall is on the drier side, indicating that grasslands can dominate in these more arid areas where trees might struggle. So you probably heard the terms prairie and steppe, and possibly pampas and veldt too. These terms are more regional in usage than technical. Prairie is almost exclusively used to refer to the grasslands of North America, and it's a word borrowed from the early French settlers to this region, meaning simply meadow in that language. Steppe refers mostly to the grasslands of Eurasia and is taken directly from the Russian word for this biome. Pampas is the most common word for the extensive grasslands of mid-southern South America, and is from the Quechua word for plain. Veldt, the Afrikaans word for field, is a loose term used to describe the open upland country of eastern South Africa that is sometimes grassland but might also be scrub. Beyond the vernacular terms, grasslands vary more technically in the height of grass, and in the absence of grazing animals, this relationship is determined by the amount of rainfall and soil drainage. Where the soil is wetter, the grasses will grow taller, with some species growing up to 4 meters in height, while more arid conditions lead to shorter grass. Anyone who has tried to dig up the turf or sod of their lawn will know how well grasses bind to the soil, and the tall grass species also follow this pattern, with roots burrowing into the earth as deep as their structures are above ground. As grasses are flowering plants, meadows burst into vivid color during the season of plant reproduction, which occurs in the spring in the mid-latitudes and at the beginning of the wet season in subtropical highland areas. So where in the world do we find the grasslands? The 2 northern continents of North America and Eurasia form most of the land area of this biome, with the Great Plains of their heartlands being made up of prairie and steppe. The southern hemisphere, by comparison, has more isolated areas. The North American prairies extend unbroken in vast plains from Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba in Canada, south and east into the central part of the United States, including the states of Montana, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wyoming, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Texas. In these regions, the eastern parts receive more rain and are naturally tall grass prairies, which blend into the temperate forests of the eastern part of that continent. As we travel west toward the Rockies, less rainfall leads to shorter grass until semi-arid and scrub conditions occur. Parts of the high desert of Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Nevada have grassland, as does the low-lying Central Valley of California. In practically all these areas, however, the excellent soils and suitability for wheat and corn farming have led to the decimation of natural prairie, with very few areas remaining. South America has 3 areas of grassland. The first, known as Puna, can be found in upland subtropical areas of the Andes, where much of this remains preserved in its natural state. It's a different story for the pampas of northeastern Argentina, Uruguay, and southern Brazil, however, where the extensive pampas has been converted almost entirely to farming, with ranching dominating. Lastly, the eastern tip of this continent, from Tierra del Fuego to southern Patagonia, as well as the Falkland Islands, are dominated by grasslands in the most polar latitudes of any in the world. In Africa, that continent dominated by the tropical savanna, only a small portion of it in eastern South Africa is considered a part of the true grassland biome, found in uplands where it is known as the veldt. We find a surprising area of natural grassland on both islands of New Zealand, a country otherwise dominated by temperate forests owing to its oceanic climate. The causes of these tussock grasslands are poor soils in the centre of North Island and a rain shadow in the South Island east of the Southern Alps that reduces rainfall significantly. In the Middle East, we have relatively isolated pockets of grassland in upland areas of Turkey and the Southern Caucasus, while mainly subtropical areas surrounding the Tibetan Plateau have this biome in a similar way to those of the Andes. However, these areas pale in comparison to the largest area of grassland on Earth, the vast steppe plains of Eurasia. Running in an unbroken line at around 45 degrees north in latitude, the steppe separates the temperate and boreal forests of the north from the deserts of the south. Starting in the west of the continent in Eastern Europe, they encompass the whole of Ukraine and southern half of European Russia, where most of the natural steppe has been transformed into the wheat belt that feeds these countries in a similar way to that of the North American prairies. Further east, the steppe runs along the boundary of Russia and Kazakhstan, and then east again, ending with the border of Mongolia, where the northern half of that country is dominated by steppe still mostly in its natural state. Species diversity in natural grasslands is high. Region by region, we find in the North American prairie, among others, big bluestem, Indian grass, and switchgrass species. In the Eurasian steppe, common species families include Stipa, Festuca, and Agropyron. The eponymous pampas grass is found in that South American grassland, while the equally eponymous veldt grass is from South Africa. And in the New Zealand tussock grasslands, Cyanocloa is common. Like the savannas of Africa, the presence of large areas of edible grass in the prairies and steppes have resulted in the support of vast herds of grazing animals. In North America, there were once tens of millions of bison roaming the prairie before the mass slaughter of the 1800s. And let's not forget that the grasslands of North America and Eurasia led to the evolution of perhaps the most important animal in human history, the horse. As mentioned, most of these areas of natural grassland have vanished, being replaced by agriculture, such as the quality of their soils and climatic suitability for cereal crops. But unlike other biomes that have been diminished by human activity, the grasslands have really just been adjusted, because what has replaced these grasslands is just more grass. The domestication of various species of the grass family into cereal crops is regarded as one of the key developments of human civilization. Wheat, corn, rice, barley, oats, millet, sugar, and many more crops that directly or through fodder for livestock feed us are all grasses. And so this humble family of plants that colonized the world and later went on to feed ours can be thought of in many ways as the most important in our world. And that is the grasslands. I hope you enjoyed this foray into these green seas. If you did, please like and share this video and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And thanks again for...
Because grasslands are the most biomes in our planet, on the mission to Mars, once they tried to bring carbon dioxide to Mars and make hemisphere there, they thought of sending some sort of bacteria so that they can make a biome of grasslands. Have you heard about that before?
No.
Okay, so simply the whole problem of planet Mars is that it doesn't have an atmosphere that contains a sustainable amount of carbon dioxide and oxygen. So they thought, why not nuclear it, okay, and by pumping it by the nuclear pump, it might change its atmosphere. And other scientists thought of the possibility that we send some type of microbes, these bacteria and microorganism, they will play the role of breathing in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen, making a balance between both of them, and they will lead into the existence of the grasslands. Consequently, they can obtain an atmosphere. Crazy idea, but yet still effective. But they haven't tried that yet. They have tried that in one of the movies, of course. Okay, so once again, grade 8. I hope that you enjoyed the lesson.